All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive on prepping for a food production planner interview. We've got some really excellent resources from RoleCatcher. They've got a career guide and an interview guide, and we're going to try to pull out some of the best tips to help you stand out from the crowd. So think of this as like your cheat sheet to interview success.
Yeah, what's really cool about this role is it's like a mix of strategy and problem solving, really making sure that everything runs smoothly from getting ingredients to meeting all the quality standards.
So let's break it down. What exactly does a food production planner do on a day-to-day basis, according to RoleCatcher?
Yeah, so they're really the masterminds behind the scenes. So imagine you have a busy food production facility. Ingredients are coming in, production lines are humming, you got finished products going out. And the food production planner, they create these detailed production plans. They're taking into account resources, timelines, quantities to make sure they hit those targets. It's a very data-driven role. And, increasingly technology like AI and automation are playing a bigger part.
It's like conducting an orchestra, but instead of music, it's food. And speaking of technology, RoleCatcher uses AI to help people tailor their CVs and resumes, which is super innovative when it comes to the job hunt. So how does that work?
It's basically like having a personal assistant for your job application. So their AI analyzes job descriptions. It figures out what recruiters are looking for, especially those using AI-powered screening tools. And then it basically helps you highlight the most relevant skills and experiences in your application. And it even helps identify skills that you might be missing so you can kind of like strategically boost your profile.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. It's like leveling up your job hunt with the power of AI. Okay, so let's get down to the actual interview itself. So RoleCatcher also has this really interesting career guide called Food Production Planner, the Complete Career Guide. What are some of the key insights from that we can use to really shine in an interview?
Well, I think it emphasizes a few key points. First off, it's no surprise that the food production industry is becoming more automated and digital. You got AI, you got machine learning, robotics on the factory floor. So even having like a basic understanding of these technologies, I think can make a big difference. It shows that you're forward thinking and adaptable.
So you're basically saying like, hey, I'm ready for the future of food production. I'm not just stuck in the present.
Exactly.
What else stands out from this guide?
Yeah, well, another thing that's really cool is the guide highlights the career growth potential. For food production planners, you could specialize in things like quality control process optimization or even move into senior management roles. So continuous learning through certifications and staying up to date on industry trends is really key.
Okay, so we've got a sense of the role and the career path. Now let's get to those interview questions. So both the career and interview guides from RoleCatcher provide some excellent sample questions. So we're going to go through these one by one and give you the strategies to make your answers really stand out. So let's start with the first question. How did you first become interested in food production planning? Seems pretty simple. But what are they really trying to understand here?
I think they're looking for genuine interest and a story that kind of connects you to the field. This is your chance to showcase your passion for food, your organizational skills, maybe even an experience that sparked your interest.
So instead of just a generic answer like, oh, I'm good at planning, what would be a more compelling approach?
Think back to your journey. Was there like a part-time job that you had in a restaurant that made you really fascinated with how things work behind the scenes? Were you always the one who was like organizing events and, down to the last detail? Share an anecdote, it could be about your love for cooking, even like a childhood memory of like baking with your grandmother or something like that, something authentic that shows them you're not just looking for a job. This field really resonates with you.
Turn it into a mini story.
Yeah.
That really reveals your passion. Now, what's a likely follow-up question that they might ask after you've shared that initial story?
Yeah, they might want to dig a little deeper, and they might ask you what specific aspects of food production planning excite you the most. So be prepared to kind of articulate what truly draws you in. Is it the challenge of optimizing complex processes? Is it the satisfaction of seeing a plan come together flawlessly? Or even like the impact of ensuring that safe, high-quality food reaches consumers?
It's about connecting those personal interests to the actual job. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How do you prioritize tasks when working on multiple projects at once? This is that Classic time management question, right?
Absolutely. This is where you demonstrate that you have like a system, a method, not just a reactive approach to managing your workload.
Right.
So, explain your approach. Do you use a specific method, like the Eisenhower matrix, for example? Do you prioritize based on deadlines, project impact, or resource availability? Whatever your system is, describe it and then illustrate it with a real-world example.
So give them the method and how you actually apply it in real life. Now, what if they want to see how you handle curveballs? What kind of follow-up questions could they ask?
Yeah, be ready for questions like, tell me about a time when you had to reprioritize tasks due to unexpected circumstances.
Hmm?
They want to see, your flexibility and your problem-solving skills in action. So have a specific situation ready, and explain how you adapted your priorities. You know what the positive outcome was. Really focus on showing how you stay calm and effective under pressure.
All right, next up is a question that seems pretty serious. How do you ensure that food production meets quality standards and regulations?
Mm.
Now, spotlight's really on food safety here, isn't it?
Absolutely. Food safety is paramount. So the interviewer wants to see that you understand the industry regulations and that you're committed to maintaining those standards.
Hmm.
You can mention your familiarity with HACCP hazard analysis and critical control points. It's really a core set of principles for managing food safety risks.
So rather than like listing every single regulation, we should really demonstrate how we apply those principles in practice.
Exactly. For example, you could say, I'm well versed in HACCP principles, and in my previous role, I was responsible for implementing a new system for monitoring temperature control during the production process. This helped us identify and address potential issues before they could impact the safety or quality of our product. Something specific like that showcases your understanding and experience.
So it's that show don't tell, using those real-world examples to really land the point. Speaking of real-world examples, let's move on to the next question. How do you manage inventory levels to ensure we have enough ingredients for production? Greg, inventory management sounds like a real juggling act.
It can be, yeah, it's a very important one. Here the interviewer wants to see your organizational skills and your ability to kind of anticipate needs. Talk about your experience with inventory tracking systems, whether that's specialized software or even like a meticulous spreadsheet system that you've created. Explain how you forecast demand set reorder points, and perhaps even your approach to just-in-time inventory management, which minimizes storage costs while ensuring that you have the materials when you need them.
Just in time is a great term to use. Can you explain that a little more for those who might not be familiar with that?
Yeah, so just-in-time inventory management is a strategy where materials are delivered right before they're needed in the production process. So this helps to reduce waste and storage costs, which can be especially important with, perishable ingredients in food production.
Yeah, it shows that you really understand the nuances of inventory when it comes to food specifically. Now, how about those follow-up questions? What might they throw your way to really test those inventory management skills?
Be ready for questions like, what steps would you take if a key ingredient was suddenly unavailable? Or, how would you handle a sudden surge in demand? These are all about your problem-solving skills and your ability to adapt to unexpected situations.
Right.
So have a few scenarios in mind. Walk them through your thought process. How would you assess the situation? What different options would you consider? And how would you make that strategic decision?
Okay, next question. Can you give an example of a time when production was disrupted and how you resolved the issue? This seems like another one of those classic interview questions. But in the context of food production, it takes on a whole other level of importance, doesn't it?
You're right, because any disruption in food production can have significant consequences. So here, they're really looking at your problem-solving process, your ability to stay calm and make those effective decisions under pressure.
Yeah.
So choose an example that highlights your analytical skills and your ability to collaborate. Walk them through the situation. How did you identify the root cause of the disruption? What options did you consider and the solution that you implemented? Bonus points if you can quantify the positive impact of your actions. Did you minimize downtime or reduce waste or something like that?
That data always makes the story more compelling.
Now, what kind of follow-up questions should we be ready for on this one?
Be ready for questions like, what did you learn from this experience? Or how would you handle a similar situation differently in the future? Reflecting on your learnings shows that you're committed to continuous improvement, which is really valued in any role, especially, in a fast-paced industry like food production.
All right.
Don't be afraid to show that you're always looking for ways to do things better.
Okay, I'm taking notes. Let's move on to the next question. How do you ensure that all employees are properly trained in food safety and production processes? Quote, This really emphasizes the people management aspect of this role, doesn't it? Definitely. It's not just about creating plans in isolation. You're responsible for making sure everyone on the production floor understands and follows the procedures. So this is where you can really showcase your understanding of effective training methods. Have you developed training materials? Have you conducted group sessions? Have you implemented on-the-job training programs? Highlight your approach. And as always, real-world examples are really your friend.
Yeah.
Maybe you noticed a gap in knowledge and you created a training program to address it. Or maybe you mentored a new employee and helped them really excel.
So specific examples make all the difference. Now, what are some potential follow-up questions they might ask to really dig a little deeper into our training and leadership style?
They might ask, how do you assess training effectiveness? Or even like, how would you handle an employee who is resistant to following safety procedures? So these questions are really getting into your leadership and communication skills.
Right.
Be prepared to talk about how you provide feedback, how you address performance issues, and how you motivate your team to maintain those all-important safety and quality standards, especially when it comes to food.
Especially when it comes to food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome back to our deep dive on prepping for a food production planner interview.
I'm excited to keep going. I feel like I'm already getting a lot more prepared to answer these questions. So what's next on our list of must-know questions?
All right, let's look at this one. How do you work with other departments, such as sales and marketing, to ensure that production is aligned with company goals?
So this really gets at your ability to kind of be a team player and work with other departments, right?
Yeah, it's about collaboration, seeing the bigger picture.
Because food production isn't just like its own little island. It's part of like a whole company.
Right.
So how do we show that we can be that team player and work with those other departments effectively?
Yeah. Well, think about specific instances where you've had to coordinate with other teams. Maybe you adjusted production schedules based on sales forecasts, or incorporated feedback from marketing on like packaging changes or something. Highlight your communication skills, your ability to negotiate. Find solutions that work for everyone involved. It's really about understanding that the success of the company depends on everyone working together.
It's like being a conductor again. But instead of just conducting music, you're conducting all these different departments.
That's a great analogy.
Now, what kind of tricky follow-up questions could they ask about conflict resolution, for example?
Be ready for a question like, describe a time when you faced a conflict with another department and how you resolved it.
Oh, yeah.
This is where you showcase your diplomacy, your problem-solving skills. Did you listen to their concerns? Did you find common ground? Come up with a compromise that met everyone's needs. It's really about showing your maturity and your ability to kind of navigate those complex interpersonal dynamics.
Okay, making a note to have a conflict resolution story ready. All right, let's tackle this one. Could you describe a time when you implemented a new production process or system?
Oh, this is a good one.
This is where we get to show our initiative, right, and problem-solving skills.
Absolutely. They want to see that you're proactive, innovative, capable of driving positive change. So choose a project where you played a key role in implementing something new. Maybe you streamlined a workflow, introduced new software, optimized a production line. Walk them through the process. What was the problem you were trying to solve? What solution did you come up with? What steps did you take to implement it? And what positive results did you achieve? Data is your friend here. Did you increase efficiency, reduce costs, improve quality?
Those quantifiable results make all the difference.
Absolutely.
All right, 2 more questions to go from our list. Let's look at this one. How do you stay up to date with industry trends and advancements in technology? Especially in a field like this that's constantly evolving.
Absolutely. They want to know that you're a lifelong learner, that you're curious about new developments, and that you're committed to continuous improvement.
Because no one wants a planner who's stuck in the past.
Right?
Especially when technology is changing so rapidly. So how do we show them that we're really on top of things?
Go beyond just saying that you read industry magazines. Mention specific publications that you follow, conferences or webinars that you've attended, online communities that you're a part of. Maybe you follow thought leaders on LinkedIn or participate in online forums. Have you taken any courses or earned certifications to expand your knowledge? Sharing concrete examples really demonstrates that you're actively engaged in the field.
So you're not just keeping up, you're actively trying to learn more.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what kind of follow-up questions should we be ready for on this one?
They might ask something like, what's a recent industry trend that you're particularly excited about? Or how do you apply new knowledge to your work? And this is where you can really showcase your passion for the field and your ability to think ahead, connect the dots between new developments and how they can improve food production processes.
You're not just learning to learn, you're learning to actually apply it
Right.
and make a difference.
Right.
All right, on to our final question from the RoleCatcher guides. How do you manage a team of production planners and ensure that they are meeting performance metrics?
So this one really zeroes in on leadership, doesn't it?
It does. They want to know if you can motivate, guide, and support a team while also keeping your eye on those crucial performance targets.
Right.
So think about your leadership style. Are you collaborative? Are you results-oriented? Do you emphasize empathy and building relationships? Briefly describe your approach, and then, as always, back it up with real-world examples.
So don't just say, I'm a great leader. Show them what it actually looks like.
Exactly.
Give them those specific situations where you've successfully led a team. How do you set clear expectations for your team? How do you provide feedback and support? What tools or strategies do you use to track performance and identify areas for improvement? Think about a time when you coached a team member to success, or maybe implemented a new strategy that boosted overall performance.
And those stories really make your leadership style come to life. Now, of course, no leadership role is without its challenges. I'm sure they're going to want to know how we handle those tricky situations.
Right. Be prepared for questions like, how do you address underperformance? Or describe a time when you had to give difficult feedback to a team member.
Oh, yeah.
These questions are designed to assess your ability to manage those tough conversations and maintain a positive and productive team dynamic. So focus on your constructive approach, your ability to provide support and guidance, and your commitment to helping your team members succeed.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this section. But before we move on, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier. RoleCatcher doesn't just help with crafting CVs and resumes. They also have this incredible AI-powered tool that can provide feedback on your interview answers. I think this is worth exploring a little bit further.
I agree.
It's like having a personal interview coach right at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So you input your practice answers into RoleCatcher, and their AI analyzes it. It provides specific feedback and suggestions for improvement. It can help you identify areas where your answer might be unclear, suggest adding more detail or quantifiable results, and even help you tailor your response to the specific requirements of the job description.
It takes out the guesswork.
Yeah.
And it gives you that boost of confidence knowing that you're putting your best foot forward.
And I imagine it could be really helpful for those subtle things we might miss when we're practicing on our own.
Absolutely. It's like having an extra set of eyes and ears specifically trained to pick up on what makes a strong interview answer. So it can help you fine-tune your delivery, make your points more concisely and persuasively, and ultimately increase your chances of landing the job.
It sounds like an absolutely must-have tool for anyone who's serious about acing their interview. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. Let's move on to the final part, where we'll discuss some additional strategies and insights to help you feel confident and prepared going into that food production planner interview. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into food production planner interviews.
Yeah, it's been a great discussion so far.
I feel like we've really given our listeners some great tools to ace that interview. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on something that's often overlooked, and that's the importance of asking insightful questions at the end of the interview.
Oh, that's so important. It shows you're genuinely interested and engaged. And it gives you a chance to gather some really valuable information to help you decide if it's the right opportunity for you.
Yeah, because it's easy to get so caught up in, answering their questions that we forget we're interviewing them as well.
Right.
So what are some strategic questions we can ask to make a lasting impression and gather those insights?
Well, instead of just asking generic questions like, what's the company culture like? Try to dig a little deeper, You could ask about specific initiatives the company is undertaking. Maybe they're expanding into new markets or implementing a new sustainability program. Or you could ask about the challenges they're facing in the production process. This shows you've done your homework and you're thinking critically about the role.
It shows you're not just looking for a job. You're looking for the right fit.
Exactly. Another great question is, what are the opportunities for professional development and growth within the company? That shows you're ambitious and thinking long-term.
Like saying, I'm not just here for a job, I'm here for a career.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic questions. Is there anything else we should keep in mind as we're wrapping up our prep?
I think it's important to remember that a job interview is a two-way street. It's not just about them evaluating you, it's also about you evaluating them. Pay attention to the company culture, the interviewer's communication style, the overall vibe that you get. Does this seem like a place where you can thrive and contribute? Trust your gut feeling.
So it's really about finding the right match,
Yes.
both in terms of skills and personality.
Exactly. And of course, don't forget the basics. Dress professionally, arrive on time, be enthusiastic and engaging. Show them that you're genuinely interested in the opportunity and excited to contribute your skills and knowledge.
Yeah, those little things can make a big difference. Okay, well, I'm feeling pumped and ready to go. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Yeah, remember, preparation is key. Use all the resources at your disposal. Practice your answers and believe in yourself. And don't forget the power of RoleCatcher's AI. Their tools can be really invaluable in helping you refine your application, prepare for those tough questions, and stand out from the crowd.
RoleCatcher really is a game changer when it comes to the job search. All right, knowledge seekers, we've reached the end of our Food Production Planner interview deep dive. I hope you found this episode helpful and insightful.
Yeah, best of luck with your interview. We're confident that with the right preparation and a positive attitude, you'll do great.
And remember, the learning never stops. Stay curious, stay engaged, and keep exploring the world of food production. Until next time, happy planning.